Conversations with Karen and Kat.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Karen. We are here today with candidate Ryan Cox. He's a candidate for State House District 111.
District 111. Yes.
And Ryan, Mr. Cox. Can we call you Ryan?
Just Ryan.
Mr. Cox.
I like to be called Ryan.
Okay, Ryan.
Just Ryan.
So tell us about your candidacy, and you're a Democrat running for State House. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So my candidacy. I like to start off telling people I never intended to run. Not something I've been active in the community doing my nonprofit work, but when the opportunity came about to run, my whole thing was, let me see who's running. I want to get behind this person, and then I'm going to try to support them the best way that I can. So when the week of qualifying came up,
And when was that?
it was first or second week of March.
Okay.
I think it's the 7th.
2022?
Yes.
Okay.
So that Monday, I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, there's nobody on the ballot. Tuesday came, Wednesday. Then by Thursday, I'm like, okay, nobody's jumping in this race. There's only one person on the Republican side. And I'm like, okay, if nobody else is going to run, I guess I'm going to have to do it. So I'm waiting all day Thursday. Nobody jumped in. So I made a couple phone calls, talked to some people that I know about who's already in, who's ran before or in the process of running. And I said, thinking about running. So nobody else is jumping in. I have to do it. And so I had less than 24 hours. So less than 24 hours later, I decided to go down to the Capitol and put my name in the hat.
We did it.
I did it.
That was Friday, the 9th hour, right?
It was. It was.
So you've never run for office before?
Never.
And what gave you the what compelled you to want to run?
One, nobody decided to do it.
Okay.
But two, it comes down to, I think I have a server's mentality.
Okay.
And so I'm a servant at heart. I love going work in the community. I love my community. I'm very active in the community. And so through my nonprofit work, I thought, hey, this would be a better way for me to give back on a larger scale, to really make a true impact and a difference in my community. So when I saw that opportunity to go ahead and try and do that, I said, I need to go ahead and do this because I feel like I can impact a lot more people with my work.
Okay. Now, with your role as a House representative, what does that mean to your voters? What do you do? What can you do for your voters?
So what I want to do is really, my main thing is to bring a voice to the people.
Okay.
And so what happens is, like even in my community right now, so in my district, one of the things that compelled me to run is my state representative, if I'm being honest, is non-existent.
Okay.
Wow.
And so
And why do you say that?
I say that because he's never held a town hall.
Okay.
And so I've been in my area for 5 years. I've never seen him openly say, hey, we're gonna have a town hall, we're gonna talk about the issues. I want to get out there and I want to meet the people. I really care about you. Let me go and see what can I do to help you.
Right.
And like openly broadcast and say, hey, let's say this Thursday night at this business or at this restaurant or at this place, we're going to do a town hall. I've never seen him in person.
Have you ever reached out to them?
I've reached out to him, whether it be by email, social media, everything, and getting a response.
Wow.
And so that compelled me to be like,
To run.
I want to run because I want to be that person that's going to be there for people. Like if you need something, regardless of how big or small, I want to be that person that's accessible. That you know, hey, I can call Ryan up or I can text him or email him. He's going to respond back. And we're going to make sure, even if I don't have the answers, we're going to help you find the answers that you need. So that's one of the reasons why I'm like this. I have to do it.
Okay. So now the District 111, what area is that in Georgia?
So the district includes, there's two main areas, which would be parts of Decula and the Walton County side of Logan. Those are the two major areas.
Say it again.
Walton County of Loganville and Tequila.
Okay.
But we have there's small portions of Monroe in there, Bold Springs, a little bit of Conyers in there, but very, very small. But the main areas are.
I forgot to mention that we are today in Tequila at
Fussell Cake.
Fussell Cakes.
Yes.
We're at Fussell Cake at 1205 Winder Highway, Suite C, where the owners are Kim and Daryl Fussell.
Right.
And these are some of their delicious Fussell Cakes. Some of the ones that we have on the table are sassy peach and butter rum flavored. So make sure you come on down, patronize, or come on over, depending upon where you are, and patronize Fussell Cakes at 1205 Winder Highway in Tequila. I would be remiss if I did not mention that they were so gracious to offer their space so that we could shoot this podcast.
Right. And this is one of my favorite restaurants. I've been coming here since they opened. I've known about them before they even opened a physical location. And so they've been gracious enough to allow me to put like one of my signs in their windows. They've been big supporters of mine. I really appreciate Kim and Daryl. So they have been great supporters, great help. So I really want you all to come out and visit them. Like the food here is amazing.
And thank you for helping us arrange to be able to shoot here for this podcast. Because one of the things that Kat and I want to do is be able to feature small businesses here in Gwinnett County. And Ryan has worked with us to talk to some businesses, barbershops, restaurants, so that we can come out and we can showcase some of these businesses. There's no paid promotion. We're just coming out because we want to show small businesses that we want to showcase. Want to showcase them and help them grow.
Help them get some more support, and folks to come on out and patronize them. So please go to our YouTube channel, Conversations with Karen and Kat, our Facebook page. And if you're a small business, contact us and let us know so we can host something at your place. And one thing that you do, Brian, you support businesses.
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of my things that I do, just like not me as a candidate, just Ryan, the person.
That's right.
I like to go out and support small business. I really will go out of my way to support small businesses. So everything, like any restaurants, if I'm going out, I say, okay, let's find a small spot to go to. Let's support these local businesses before we give our money to the big guys, to the big chains and everything like that. So I'm really big on that. Whether it's right here in Gwinnett County, even if I'm on vacation, I do the same thing. It's just who I am at my core, because the small businesses really need help. And with inflation and everything going on, a lot of businesses are struggling. So they need our support as much as possible. So we need to go out here and make sure that we're patronizing and tell some friends, or bring your friend with you to any businesses out.
That makes me think about too, when you just said you like to support the small businesses as it pertains to your campaign and donations. How do you feel about that with corporate?
So one of the things I've pledged to do is not to take any corporate money.
Okay.
Because one of the things I'm going to do, I don't want to be corrupted.
Right.
And I don't say that money corrupts everybody,
Right.
but it doesn't help. So my thing is like, hey, let's go to the grassroots level.
Right.
Let's talk to everyday people. I want that support from them. So then once they get in office, people know, hey, he's getting money from everyday regular people. So we know he's not only going to cater to these businesses or these companies that's giving him large donations. So I'm here for the people. That's what I'm here for. I want to support small businesses, but I'm here for the people.
Okay.
Putting people over profit.
Right. People over profit.
As a state representative, how do you see your role in helping small businesses?
So I want to be that champion. I got to be that champion for small business. So my thing is, and I've talked about this before, one, making sure they have the resources that they need. Because I've heard from a lot of businesses lately, and I'm going around to a lot, and they're saying, hey, I hear there's money out here. Why am I not getting any of that money? Why is nobody I've applied for? Why am I not? So my thing is, I want to go to these businesses, and we're going to figure out how we're going to get them the money that's out there, instead of the same few organizations or companies or whatever that's getting money. We want to help everybody. So we got to find ways to make sure that they have the resources, whether it be holding a town hall just for business leaders and say, hey, here's some money out here, here's how you apply for it, and getting people that can help them get the resources they need. Also, just visiting these businesses too and trying to promote businesses. People like Fortified, like we're here. I didn't ask them about any of them. Like they're not paying me to do it. It's just somewhere I've been coming. It's just something that I like to do. So I'm like, hey, we need to support them. So as much as you have that microphone, we have to use that microphone to support these businesses. I was like, hey, this is a company that's putting out a good product, is doing good work out here. Let's go out there and support them. So not only getting the resources, but also get a microphone for them as well.
That's right. Now, I picked this up. This is your flyer that you have.
Mm-hmm.
How do people get in contact with you just with just use vision? You want to support the business, you want to help them get information about how to get money. But if they have questions on navigating that, because a lot of people just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So how can they get in contact with you so they can ask you questions?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is ryancoxforga.com. Also on social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look up Ryan Cox for Georgia, Ryan Cox for GA. I'm on
And
there.
that's RYANCOX?
Yes, and FORGA.
Okay.
So it's spelled out FOR. So any of those ways you can get a hold of me.
What is some money available for some of these businesses? Do you know?
Some of the money, as far as small, on the local level, I know the county will be having the American Rescue Plan money that they're going to have. That's going to be opening up for the county, for businesses here, especially in the nonprofit world. That money's going to be there. But other than that, it's more. You also need to be able to get in contact with your federal elected officials too, because they're going to have more resources. They're going to have bigger staff in order to find those things too. But I would advise anybody too, that's a small business owner or just a regular person, to also attend your city council meetings, attend your county commission meetings, find out what's going on in your
All
city.
politics are local.
Everything is local. It starts at the local level. And if you're not there, somebody else is.
That's right.
And so your race is in November?
Correct.
And you have an opponent.
I do. I have one.
So what's your strategy? Because I understand that you're straddling two counties between Gwinnett and Walton County.
Mhm.
So what's your strategy for reaching your voters?
So one of the strategies I have for right now during the summer, one of the things I'm doing, I'm hitting out the business owners.
Okay.
I'm going business to business. Like I said, like here at Fossil Pay. I'm going in there, I'm telling them about my platform, I'm introducing myself, I'm letting them know who I am. So one of the things we're going to be starting next week, I will start being at another spot in Tequila,
Okay.
K&S Jerk Shop,
Mhm.
and I will be doing weekly meet and greets there.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that from 12 to 1 every Saturday.
And do you have the address?
I don't have the address
So
on
we'll
that.
post it.
Yeah.
We'll post it.
Yeah,
And what's the name of the business again?
K&S Jerk Shop.
K&S Jerk Shop. Okay.
So that's one of the things that I'm doing. We're also out here. One of the things we're going to start doing, I want to get younger people involved. So I'm actually going to start like a Twitch channel where I'm going to play video games.
Switch.
Not Twitch.
No.
Not Switch. Taking me back.
Right.
No, we're going to start a Twitch channel where we're going to be trying to get the young people out, because you got to meet people where they are. And the young people are online. And so we're going to be starting a Twitch channel where we're going to be encouraging young people to come out. And then one of my goals too is hopefully bring on some other candidates. And so I'll play some games and we'll sit and talk about politics and issues and play some video games.
Oh, that's so nice.
Okay. I'm not in your district, but the folks who are in your district, what's the difference between you and your candidate? So when they go into the voting booth in November and they get ready to pull that lever, what's going to differentiate you between your opponent?
Well, honestly, I've only been focusing on my race.
Okay.
Honestly. And so one thing about me, you're going to get an honest person.
Okay.
So one of the things I won't do, I won't lie. If I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't know. Other thing, I'm not taking corporate money. So everything that I'm doing is going to be focused on what's going to be best for you.
Okay.
And so you know that I'm going to be fighting for regular people. I will have town halls. I will be easy to contact. You will see me out in the community. That's the main things that's going to differentiate me from other people. knowing that I'm fighting for people and not just corporations or companies that's giving me campaign donations.
Okay.
Because honestly, probably not trying to hear me, like maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
So, but I'm fighting for regular, everyday people. That's what it comes down to.
And what are the things you're fighting for? What are some of the pillars that you might
One of the things I would like to see is expansion of Medicaid.
Okay.
Because regardless of where you live, everybody we need expansion of Medicaid. I grew up in Chattanooga, and right on the border of Chattanooga sits on the Georgia border. There used to be a hospital there. And because of the expansion of Medicaid, this was the biggest job employer in this little town. And I think it's Fort Overthorpe. And because the expansion didn't happen, that hospital shut down. So now you lost the largest employer in that town because of that.
all those people out of work?
And so people are out of work and people don't have a place to go. So now you either have to drive 20 or 30 minutes to get to another hospital.
If you have transportation.
If you have transportation, or you have to cross over state lines and you need to go, you can go over to Tennessee and do it. Then you might be out of network.
Right.
So we gotta.
It's those little things.
Yeah, and it's things like that you don't think about.
So speaking of medical, if it's not too personal, you recently posted on social media that you were in the hospital and that you were in ICU. I know I was concerned, so I'm sure other people who follow you on social media were concerned or are concerned. How are you? And do you want to discuss what happened?
So I'm fine now. But I guess I'm open to tell my story.
Please.
Just depends on how graphic you want it to get.
Please tell all the details. We want the tea.
You sure?
Yes.
All right.
It's supposed to look peach tea.
So I'll be completely transparent then. So I have a medical condition called achalasia.
Okay.
So I've been dealing with this condition now for about 13 years.
Okay.
So achalasia is a swallowing disorder. So there's dysphagia, where you have trouble swallowing, and that's where it's mostly food. Achalasia is a more severe form of that, so it's not just food. You're also having trouble swallowing liquids. And so this is something that I've been dealing with for about 13 years. And so what happened is I had surgery back in 2011, and I got the surgery to fix the most severe part of it. But what happens is over time, where they fix my esophagus. So let me kind of explain. So what happens is when my esophagus is smaller than most people's, when it closes, it's not completely open. So at the time of my surgery, let's say your esophagus is like this, mine was like this.
Wow.
Where almost
stirred.
where almost nothing would go down.
Okay.
So they fix that. So every 4 years or so, I have to get what's called like a balloon dilation. They literally stick a balloon and blow it up. About 4 years later, it
Deflate.
So over the course of sometime early last week, I wasn't feeling well. And so I was like really fatigued. And so for me, anybody knows me, like I have a lot of energy. I'm going 14, 15 hours a day. And so I'm not feeling well. Like I said, it's going to get graphic. So I'm feeling like my throat is getting really kind of tight, but I can still eat and everything, and I don't have any trouble swallowing anything like that. But what I noticed was, even like if I burp, I can taste blood. And so I'm tasting blood in my throat. And so I'm forcing myself almost to like vomit to get the blood out. But it's not going anywhere. You know, vomiting blood out. So it's graphic.
I know. Go ahead.
But what happens is I'm still, it's not coming, it's just so much, it's not going anywhere. So I ended up deciding Thursday last week, I called my wife, I said, hey, no, I'm not feeling good, I need to make an appointment with my GI. Called them and said, oh, it's going to be like 2 weeks before we can get you in. So I said, I don't know if I can wait 2 weeks.
And you're vomiting blood, they tell you 2 weeks. Healthcare.
Right. So I'm like, okay. So I told my wife, and she said, okay, well, maybe you can go to the primary care doctor. They have an urgent care next door to it. They have x-ray. And I was okay, I'll try that. So I go there. I tell them all my symptoms. They say, well, we can't really treat it, the doctor recommends that you go to the ER. I call my wife and I said, I can't do anything, I have to go there. She was like, what do you think? I said, I think I need to go. And she was like, I was like, you know, you gotta be serious if I'm saying I need to go to the ER.
Right.
It's not something I like to do.
Right.
So she was like, yeah, go ahead, go to the ER. I said, okay. I was going to go to one hospital. I said, no, I'm not going to go there because it's probably going to be crowded.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the other hospital and Winder because it should be slower out there because it's not as many people. And so I go out there. There's no wait, which is great. And so to get in there, you know, I do the normal stuff they do once you get checked in. So they said, okay, well, we're going to do a CT scan. I do the CT scan about, the whole time I'm texting my wife and everything. And so I'm good. And so we're just talking back and forth. And then the nurse comes in. She's like, oh, I'm going to give you this medicine. Let me know what it's going to help you with your stomach and the issues with your stomach and the bloating that you're feeling. So okay, she's like, are there any side effects with this medicine? She's like, no. It's like a stronger version of Tums or Pepcid EC, something like that. I said, okay, that's fine. Excuse me. So she puts it in my IV. Then I call my wife. We're talking about planning a trip to Disney. And so then I tell my wife, I said, I'm not feeling too well. It's like, I feel real weak right now. And so I said, let me let you go. She's like, okay. She said, well, call me back. Finish. Sorry.
Yeah, take it to time.
So she said, okay. I get off the phone, and then next thing I know, I feel real like it. I start sweating real bad. Next thing I know, I passed out. So I'm in the room by myself. I passed out, and when I wake up, I'm real weak. And I look over to the side where I'm laying on the bed and there's blood everywhere. There's tons of blood.
So who found it?
Nobody. So I hit the button. To call the nurse. And I was like, all I had enough strips said, I don't feel good. They said, okay, we'll send somebody in there. I passed out again. And then I woke up and I'm vomiting again. Just blood. And
in the meantime, did anybody come to the room?
Nobody came to the room.
That part.
So then I hit the button again. I said, I don't feel well. They said, okay, we're sending somebody right now. Pass out again. And I'm vomiting blood again. And then they come in and you just hear a bunch of words unsafe for this podcast. And then it's like, we need everybody in here now. And it's like, turn me over to the side. And then I start vomiting blood again. But the kind of part that kind of upset me a little bit is when they said, are you sure you're not on meth? You're not sure you're not on any kind of drug? I was too weak to speak.
I'm going to clutch my pearls for you.
Yes.
Wait a minute. So instead of saying, sir, are you okay? The first thing is, you're on drugs.
Right.
Wow.
So
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I end up, so they ended up getting me out of the room and they transport me to the operating room and I ended up having to have an emergency blood transfusion.
Wow.
I had lost nearly all, they said my blood pressure was down in like the 30s.
Oh, wow.
Like I didn't even know it could get that low.
Yeah. Wow.
I had lost nearly all my blood. And so they, at this point, you look at me, my entire body, the entire bed, almost the whole room is covered in blood.
Wow.
So I'm in like almost in shock.
Yeah.
And so
Died.
yeah, I was close to dying. They told me I was real close to dying. So they did the emergency blood transfusion. They transported me to another hospital out in Gainesville. So what happens is with my condition, the acid in my stomach doesn't stay on my stomach. So it had been traveling up my throat and it said I had an ulcer, but the acid had been eating away at my esophagus and it had hit an artery. So that artery, the blood from the artery was just draining into my stomach. And because of the acid where it was making it go all the way up to my esophagus. So they had to go in and fix that.
And that's why you were tasting blood and all that whole time.
So,
And how long were you in the hospital?
5 days.
5 days.
Yeah,
Have they sent you a bill yet?
not yet. Not yet.
Do you and the family, do you have health insurance?
Yes, luckily we have health insurance. So that's one of the things that I'm thankful for, because I can just, and that's one of the things that's literally, and I hate that this is one of the things that
Do you
I
have
want
one of
to
those Cadillac plans where they'll cover a lot and no high deductible?
Yes, and my wife works for the state, so the state, they have better.
You're very fortunate.
I know.
So that's why you're fighting for the millions of Americans.
Yes, I'm fighting for people who don't have that.
Yes.
So because I spent 5 days, I don't know what the bill is going to be. I know our out of pocket max. We probably, hopefully, we just have to hit the out of pocket max. But who knows? You don't know if they're going to charge you out of pocket.
For some people, the out of pocket max
Exactly.
could end up being. We have
Catastrophic.
we have a health insurance plan that I really call it catastrophic care, but our deductible is $6,500 per person.
Wow.
Per person.
Wow.
And you did have an ambulance, right?
Yeah, I had to have an ambulance
And
from Winder to Gainesville.
Yeah, wow.
A 45-minute ride.
Wow.
So
That alone,
yeah.
that bill. Do you have any medication? Or?
Yeah, so one of the conditions with my condition now, I have to be on medication for the rest of my life.
Oh my!
So I have to take a couple pills twice a day. And so luckily, like you said, with that Cadillac plan, I don't have a deductible. So I went to go pick it up. No copay.
Right.
So they was like, oh, there's no copay on your medicine.
Well, that's a blessing.
Well, it is a blessing, because you think about it, like I have to take this medicine for the rest of my life.
Right.
And they only do it in 30-day supplies. And so when I looked at my discharge paperwork, without insurance, this medicine would be $227 a month.
Every 30 days.
Every 30 days.
So the average Georgian who's making minimum wage has an event like this is supposed to pay $200 and how much?
$227.
A month. I know someone who shares asthma medication
With their child.
yes, because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much that costs, but that's something you're on for the rest of your life.
Right. And so one of the, like I said, when you said what makes me different, I'm fighting for people who don't have what I have.
That's right.
So we're lucky where we have that. But I want everybody to be able to have that same level.
Because now your condition is considered chronic, meaning it's going to be lifelong.
Right.
And for some people who have chronic conditions, if they're not currently on insurances and they're not with an employer that has insurance, they maybe have a hard time getting insurance.
Yeah. And
What would you want to do in the state legislature for someone like that?
I want to be able to see where if you're not able to get on that, there would be a Medicaid expansion where people who have those issues, they can be able to get on Medicaid if the insurance company decides they don't want to cover. So we need to be expanding things like that.
Would that mean raising the threshold for which someone qualifies, or would you want to just open it up to anyone who doesn't have health insurance to an employer?
Yeah, I would say we need to open. In fact, if I had my way, I would probably, honestly, we want to start even like a public option here in the state of Georgia. I'm all for Medicare for all on the federal level, but at least even on the state level, I'll fight for a public option to at least give everybody a shot at having insurance and not having to work it. Because it's like with anything, the more people you have involved, the less it's going to cost.
That's okay.
And so it's just basic math with anything. It's just like, hey, if you work for an employer that has 10,000 employees, you're probably going to have cheaper insurance. If you work for an employer that has 10 people, you're going to have higher insurance just based off that.
Okay.
And so the more people we can get in one pool, the cheaper it's going to be for everybody.
So, Ryan, it's January 2023. You've been sworn in to the Georgia legislature, and you're going to go sit at your desk under the Gold Dome.
Really.
What's your day one initiative?
Day one is voting rights.
Okay.
We can't do anything until we solve the voting rights problem. And a lot of people, especially on the other side, they love to say, oh, where people are mad because you need a voter ID. It's more than that. It's taking away our rights. It's and I'll call it out again, where we have Walton County during primary season, where early voting was from 9 to 5. And then or it's either 8 to 5 or 9 to 5.
Okay.
Either way, you're opening up the polls before people or while they have to be at work, and then you're closing them down before they get off to work.
Right.
That's intentional. That's a decision that was made purposefully, and you know why. Whether they want to admit why they're doing that, or when you try to go onto the Secretary of State website, sometimes you can see your ballot, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you go on your site and then you need Adobe Reader, and I don't have that on my phone. And so I ended up having a situation where I had to go from my phone. So, I can't see it on my phone. Go to my iPad.
Yeah.
I couldn't do
So you
it.
had to get to a desktop.
I had to get to my desktop where luckily I had it on there just to
Right.
see my ballot.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. Or when you see the drop boxes, when you see drop boxes, they're in some places but not the other.
Right.
You're moving from outside to inside.
Right.
When you have situations where you can't give people water in line, where you can't, with the drop boxes, let's say you have an elderly family member, you can't take their ballot for them to put it in the drop box,
Right.
where you need to photocopy your ID to send it in to get your copy of your
And you
ballot.
don't have access to a photocopy.
And you don't have access.
And there's so many barriers that we're doing. The things that we're doing, we keep putting people off the roads. Like, we need to be encouraging people to vote. And it's like, if your ideas are so great, if you believe in your ideas and you think they're so great, you should want more people to vote.
That's right.
When you know your ideas aren't good, you got to do everything. When we got to get to a point where the voters stop, where the politicians aren't picking the voters and the voters are picking the politicians.
That's right.
We have to change that.
Okay.
So that is my day one thing, and we have to let people know why they need to vote. So that's day one when I'm going to be fighting for.
So, Ryan, what do you want to leave our audience with to know about you when they go to the voting booth in November?
Where like I said, one of the things you need to know about me is I'm a fighter. Like, I don't care about what people think of me, because my whole thing is I'm going to do what's right. Whether that means I got to make enemies on both sides, at the end of the day, I'm fighting for what's right. So I don't care about making enemies on the other side. I give an example, and they might get mad at me. I had someone email me and say, hey, we want you to sign on to this legislation or this petition that we want to do to the EPA. And so there's
Excuse me, EPA.
the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yes, thank
So they're wanting to lobby the EPA because they want to delay a ruling where the EPA wants to ban asbestos with something with the water supply, but also with that they left it at that. And they was trying to explain the reasoning. And I told them, I said, my granddad died of lung cancer. And
This is personal.
yes, he died of lung cancer. And what happened is, part of this legislation, when I did my own research, because I like to do my own
That's
real
right.
research,
That's right.
and it would have banned where asbestos can't be in aftermarket brake parts.
Okay.
And so the plant that my granddad worked in, my dad worked there too, they made aftermarket brake pads.
Okay.
And so, because of that ruling right there, possibly could have saved his life.
Wow.
And I told them, and they was like, well, they named the organization that signed on and some other people that signed on. And I said, I cannot in good conscience sign on to a legislation that's helping support asbestos, which is a known carcinogen. I cannot in good conscience sign on to this legislation.
Right.
I don't care who signed on to
That's
this.
right.
And they were like, hey, there's some Democratic people that already signed up. I said, I don't care.
That's
This isn't right.
Right.
I'm not going to, like, asbestos? Are you serious?
They want you to play along to get along,
Right.
but we're not doing that.
But that's who I am. And it's like, no. Let me do my own research. But I told them, give me a day or two. I want to research this
Yeah,
myself
that's
to
right.
make sure this is something that I could get behind. When I saw asbestos, I already knew. It's like, no, we can't be
Yeah.
delaying that. So this is who I am, and this is what you're going to get from me. I'm not a play along to get along. I'm
That's
not just
right.
going to go along with something because everybody else signs on it. I'm going to do what's right.
I appreciate that you took the time to do the research, because we know that sometimes legislators don't do that, and they will either co-sign a bill or they'll sign on to a bill, vote for it, And then when they start getting asked the tough questions about like what's in the details, and they'll say, "Well, oh, I didn't read it.
Right.
I didn't read it."
Right.
So I appreciate you taking the time
Yeah.
to at least do your research, because it shows what type of a legislator you're going to be. So I appreciate that, and I'm sure a lot of other voters are going to appreciate that as well.
And I also appreciate the fact that you're not afraid to be uncomfortable and unpopular.
Right.
That's really important. A lot of times people just vote down their party line, and everyone that's in your party doesn't necessarily fight for you, the people. Right. And so what I'm hearing is you're going to go out and fight for the people regardless of what the mainstream is saying or doing. Like your example with this asbestos EPA, person trying to get you to sign on to a bill to pause this asbestos process, knowing it's killing millions of people.
Right.
Just because someone else is signing on. So I applaud you in stepping up and saying, no, that's not right. We need to put people over profit and put empathy back into government.
That's my tagline, bringing empathy back to government.
Oh, I love
We
it.
got to care about people before something personally affects us.
That's
That's the biggest problem. People don't care until it affects them personally. That's not me.
Yeah,
That's right.
and that shouldn't be the way.
That should not be the way.
We appreciate you,
Thank you.
Ryan Cox for Georgia, RyanCoxforGeorgia.com.
Awesome.
So follow Ryan at his website, on social media. You're on Instagram, Facebook.
I'm everywhere.
You're everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
follow Ryan, find out about his, follow his campaign, donate.
Yes,
That's right.
please donate.
Campaign. It's great that you're going to vote. He needs your votes, but he also needs your dollars.
Right.
So, make sure you vote. Make sure that you also donate.
That's right.
Find out ways that you can help the campaign, that you can volunteer. Get in how you fit in.
That's right. Volunteer, knocking on doors,
Yes.
making phone calls,
All
text
of
messages.
Yeah,
All of that.
anything, everything helps.
Yes.
Anything. If you don't have your time, give your treasure. If you don't have your treasure, give your talents.
All right.
Either
All
way.
right.
I felt like that was a church appeal.
I know, right?
Ryan, we appreciate you so much
Thank y'all
for
for having
all
me.
that you are doing.
And are going to do.
Yes. I see, nothing but good things
That's
coming
right.
for you, because you have a servant's heart,
Right.
That's right.
and we love that about you.
Amen.
So, thank you for joining Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Thank you, and until next time, keep the conversations going to inspire, empower, and uplift.